Okay, it is 10 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order, certify that we do have a quorum present. All 5 members are here. Item number 2 is opening prayer, and we do have Reverend Smith from Lake Kiowa Chapel to lead us in an opening prayer, I believe. And following that, Commissioner Hollowell, will you lead us in the pledges? Would everybody please rise?
Let's join our hearts in prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you for the kindness and grace you've shown us in the current crises, for the relatively low number of COVID-19 cases in Cooke County, for the cooperative and helpful spirit of the people in Cooke County, for sparing us from the violence and destruction that is spread across the country, for providing the necessities of life when they are becoming scarce. And we ask you for wisdom as we face an uncertain future. Please enable us to be guided by truth when we are surrounded by deception and misunderstanding. Be loving and conciliatory in our relationships with each other as fellow human beings. Be prudent in the use of our resources. Be strong in defense of our community's health and security. Be humble before you and try to do what is right in your sight. We ask for your blessings to preserve a spirit of unity and mutual respect in our community, to maintain law and order, to regain the prosperity which we have enjoyed from your hand, and to preserve our precious heritage of liberty and justice for all. Thank you for hearing our prayer, because we ask in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which he stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Reverend. Item 5 is public comments. We do have 3 individuals that signed up, 2 here in person, one on the phone through the conference call. I'll take these in order that they're here in front of me. I think the first one is Tucker Kraft, if I'm reading that right. Sir, you have 5 minutes. The floor is yours.
My name is Tucker Kraft, and I'm a registered Republican in Cooke County. I am the representative of the Progressive Rights Organization here in Gainesville. We call ourselves the PRO, and our main mission has been the dismantlement, the moving, or the rebranding of the 2 Confederate statues in Cooke County. We have protests daily, every single day from 7 to 9 outside the courthouse, right in front of the Confederate statue. I asked the Commissioners Court to drive by and see the many nice honks that we get of support and the many, gentle reminders that we should seek immediate employment. I have 3 rhetorical questions for the court today. First of all, who are our heroes? If you are a veteran, or really any individual who went to the pavilion either on Veterans Day or at any number of Gainesville or Cooke County events that are held at the pavilion in Leonard Park, I think you might be confused. Because if you sit in that pavilion and you look right across the street at that statue, you will see that that statue, that memorial, says, "Our heroes, Confederate." I thought our heroes, my heroes, were the American soldiers who every day sacrificed their time, sacrificed their blood, and sacrificed their own lives for this beautiful but imperfect union. I thought Gainesville and Cooke County prided itself on honoring these veterans. And we call ourselves the most patriotic American small town, not the most patriotic Confederate small town. Every year, we invite dozens of Medal of Honor recipients to come down our streets, to celebrate with us, to hold together the love that we all have for this country. But at the same time, we have memorials up to people that killed American soldiers that stood to destroy our Union. The newest memorial in Cooke County is the Gold Star Family Memorial. You probably have seen it. It's a very nice, very somber reminder of the sacrifices that many servicemen and women give to this country. On it is a letter from Abraham Lincoln, written to a Gold Star family. In it, he expresses deep regret and sorrow for the sacrifice that this family member, this father, this son, this brother, this cousin had to give for this nation because they believed, and as the Reverend said, in life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and justice in our society. My second rhetorical question to the Commissioners Court: what soldier do you think killed that Union soldier? It was a Confederate one. It was our heroes that apparently killed the soldier that Lincoln writes his letter to. Cooke County's history is different, though. When the time came for the states to secede, our county, our populace, voted against secession. Cooke County was one of the few counties in Texas that said that they believe that the Union is stronger than momentary conflict, that the bonds of our brotherhood, of our nation, are stronger than any treasonous ills. And the Texas Confederate government thought so fondly of this brotherly sentiment that they hung more than 30 people on a tree right across the river. The Great Hanging Memorial reminds us patriotic citizens, that oftentimes there's a price that you have to pay for liberty. Whether or not you're an American soldier, or whether or not you're a commissioner or a member of the public, I urge everyone to stand up and fight for those that make our republic strong, that make our city strong, that make our county strong. Our county is strong not just because we call ourselves the most patriotic small town, not just because we spend all this money to invite all these war veterans to our town, but because we mean every word we say, that our diverse community, incredibly diverse community for such a small town, is united together in the common goal, patriotism, and the common goal of loving this country. I have a final question. In my many discussions on Facebook and on the square with many people who disagree with our mission, I've heard one common sentiment, and this sentiment is true. When a low Daughtry chapter of the Daughters of the Confederacy put up both of those monuments, they're registered as Democrats. The Democratic Party is the party of slavery. It's the party of Jim Crow. So I asked the commissioners, if the Democratic Party was the party that put up those monuments, then why can't Republicans be the ones that take them down? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have, I think, Matthew Mcgee. And sir, once again, you've got 5 minutes as well.
Hi, my name's Matthew Mcgee. I live at 1714 Windsor Drive in Gainesville. Right, no one can hear me with that on. I'm here about the statute too. On it, it says, "No nation rose so white and fair or fell so pure of crimes." That's from a poem written about General Lee in 1866. That is really racist, and I think we shouldn't have that on our square anymore. Also, that statue went up in 1911. That's 55 years after the Civil War. We knew better by then when that thing went up. And this is 100 years later. I think it's time we take it down or have it well interpreted if it stays there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And the third public comments is from Torie Henderson. I believe we have her on the line. We have, it should end in 8-4. And so if we can unmute her. And Ms. Henderson, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
You can press *7 to unmute your line, or we can make sure it's unmute. Ms. Henderson, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I should be unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You are, the floor is yours, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you all for listening with me. But my name is Torie Henderson. I was born and raised here in Gainesville. I first want to say I do appreciate you all returning my emails and continuing to care for my community. I'm calling in support of the monument removal from the courthouse grounds. I would like to see those monuments moved to an area where it can be appreciated. So maybe the Morton Museum or closer to Confederate graves. I definitely feel that the monument doesn't adequately reflect all the cultures that we have in this community. And its continual looming is hypocritical of our patriotic stance. We are the most patriotic little town in America. So I don't believe that it belongs next to the courthouse at all. And I just wanted to ask and request that you all will add this topic to your next agenda and continue to discuss this matter. And I also want to say that initially getting involved in this, I was really nervous about how our community would respond. But I think it's important for us to note that we've had a really positive response, and we have a lot of people that do support the removal of that monument. I definitely think discussing it is important, but I do appreciate you all listening to us today. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And this topic is not on today's agenda, so we can't address the public comments. I know this is a community conversation that is happening and will continue to happen going forward. But it's not on our court today, so we can't publicly address any comments on it. Moving on to item number 6 is the consent agenda. Anybody have any items on the consent agenda that they want to pull? I do have one clarification. The minutes should be June 8th and not May 26th.
Wondered about that.
So what we'll probably do is just not vote on that, and we'll put it back on the next court correctly.
I went back through several agendas trying to figure out if I had the right one or not.
So other than item A, we'll get that approved and get it corrected and get it on next court.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda without letter A.
We have a motion by Commissioner Snuggs to approve the consent excluding item A.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner John Clement. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes 5-0. Item number 7 is deliberate and consider possible approval of Treasurer's Monthly Report. Anybody have any questions on the monthly report?
So moved.
Approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Leon Clement,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner John Clement. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes 5-0. Item number 8 is deliberate and consider possible approval of FY19 Cooke County Annual Report. This is our audit report, I do believe. We do have our auditors on the phone. Shelley, do you want to intro this, or do you want?
Yes, you should have Paula Lau from Patillo, Brown and Hill on the phone.
Do we have someone else on that line? Is she unmuted?
Yes, this is Paula Lau, and can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present the report to you today. As everyone's mentioned, my name is Paula Lau with Patillo, Brown and Hill, and to present the fiscal year 2019 audit report to you. I think each of you do have a hard copy with you, the commissioners and the judge. On page 1 of this report, you will find our independent auditor's report. And basically what this report says is that we have audited the company financial statements with government auditing standards as well as generally accepted auditing standards. And as we plan to perform our audit, we have performed the proper risk assessment of the county, and we're able to render an unqualified opinion. An unqualified opinion is the highest opinion that can be rendered. It's also known as a clean opinion among individuals as well. If we can flip through the financial statements, On page 9, you will find the government-wide balance sheet. And as you look at the government-wide balance sheet, this is the balance sheet within the report. It's on a full accrual basis of accounting, which basically means it includes all of your long-term capital assets as well as your long-term liabilities, such as your net pension liability and total OPEB liability as well. As you can see towards the bottom of the page, in page 9, you will see net position, and you will see positive categories there for each one of them, which is great news. There's a lot of entities that we work with, but due to including the net pension liability and this OPEB liability, which we've had to include for a few years now, they have a very small or potentially negative unrestricted net position. So this is great news for this county. As you can see, flipping to the next page, on page 10, there is an increase to net position this year as well, which is actually a little bit less than what it was in the previous year. I think the previous year it was about a little bit $2.7 million. As we flip through to the next page, page 11, you'll find the governmental fund balance sheet. This is as you're looking at your budget, you're looking at monthly financial reports as well. This is the basis of accounting that you're typically used to looking at. On the bottom of page 11, you'll find the fund balance categories. And you can see for the general fund, it had a total fund balance of approximately $21 million, with $11 million being unassigned fund balance. Means that it's basically management or commissioner court have not previously said, okay, this fund balance is here to pay for X things in the future. And as you can see, we have some assigned fund balance for capital projects, and also as well going into the next budget year for 2020, when they were looking at revenues and expenditures, you can see that expenditures for that budget did exceed the revenue, but there's existing fund balance there. And I think that's something that's typically that has been done by the county in previous years too. Total fund balance is almost 100% of your general fund expenditures in 2019, and unassigned fund balance is approximately 55% or almost 50% of what your general fund expenditures were in fiscal year 2019. So this is definitely a good position for the county as well, especially in times of uncertainties, in future revenue inflows and things of that nature. Also on page 13, you'll find the revenues and expenditures for the county in your governmental funds as well. So you can see towards the bottom of the page, there's approximately $500,000 of an increase of total governmental funds, and there was an increase to the general fund balance of almost $1 million this year, which is a little bit different from the previous year. It's down from the previous year. The increase is, last year it was $1.2 million. And then flipping through the financial statements, you'll see the notes to the basic financial statements. And as you move along, you'll see the budget to actual schedules as well. On page 35 and 36, there is the general fund budget to actual schedule there. And as you see, in all situations, there was for revenue and expenditures, it was always positive when you're comparing your final budget to your actually what happened. So say for expenditures, what was actually budgeted, that much did not get expended. So on page 36, total expenditures that were budgeted were almost $25 million, but a little bit more than $20 million were actually expended. So, but that's a brief overview of the financial statements, and towards the back of the report as well, page 58 and 59, you'll find our report in accordance with government auditing standards. And if we come across some deficiencies and internal controls, we are required to report that to you there. And I'm happy to say that we did not have something to bring to your attention that belonged in that report this year. So also, just like to make sure that everyone, I really appreciate everyone's effort this year. This was definitely an unusual year for us with the pandemic. All of us kind of had to think outside of the box and make sure that we were still adhering to all the auditing standards and getting the information that we need, having the conversations that we needed with everyone, and still doing our best to follow the guidelines with the CDC as well. So definitely thank everyone for their cooperation, your help. Everyone was very willing to work with us as well. But if anyone has any questions or comments, I'm more than happy to answer those.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, appreciate it.
If not, we do need to approve the annual report.
I'll make a motion, we approve the annual report.
We have a motion by Commissioner Snuggs. Second by Commissioner Leon Clement. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes 5-0. Item number 9 is deliberate and consider possible approval of purchase of body video cameras for Patrol Department from State Chapter 59 funds and budget amendment for the same. Sheriff.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
You remember, I think, a couple of months ago, I came before you and asked for permission to spend Chapter 59 money on in-car videos. Well, this is the second step to replace the body cams that each deputy wears, the patrol deputies wear on their vest. This will sync into the watch guard system. It'll be all-inclusive. It is probably the best system that we can find for the money that we can afford. Again, they're based out of Plano. All warranty work, all problems with anything that we do arise will come from a driving or them coming over here to Gainesville. We'll also be able to download from the parking lot like we are now. IT is addressing the retuning the antennas to the watch guard. So it's the money's there. It's something that we need. It will allow the body cams they're carrying now to be assigned to the jail, so that each jailer will be able to wear a body cam when they come to work.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Hollowell. Second. Seconded by Commissioner John Clement. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Sheriff. Item number 10 is discussion regarding emergency services districts. This was request to put on court last court. We do have a couple representatives I know from Indian Creek that is exploring the possibility of forming an ESD. They did reach out and said want to start that dialogue conversation. Now I don't believe they have a petition or anything yet, but they wanted to start engaging in dialogue with the Commissioners Court prior to any of that that action, just to kind of give the court a little bit of an overview of how that process would work. And I don't have that statute in front of me, but a petition would have to be submitted, signed by, I believe, 100.
Yes.
You probably know that just as well, if not better than I do. 100 registered voters in that particular area to be served, submitted to Commissioners Court. Commissioners Court would then make a determination whether they think there's potential for that to, and I don't have the term of art in the statute in front of me, but essentially in the best interest or potential best interest of that district would allow that to proceed to an election, and that election would be, whether the formation of that would happen is determined by the voters in that outlined district. But that's a really rough overview. There's some other qualifications and other nuances to it, but that's the general process. But we do have some representatives from Indian Creek here that may give us an update of kind of where they're at in that chain of discussion and kind of what their timeline may be for going forward. So,
May I say one thing?
sure, go ahead.
The last time we spoke, Y'all mentioned that y'all thought that y'all had to have our permission to circulate the petition, but that's not the case.
I understand that.
Okay.
I'm the one who wanted this on here for the simple fact I've heard a few stories about this on and off over the years. And sometimes it seems the way government kind of works, one day they present me with a piece of paper and say, here, you have to vote on this. And since there's quite a few very good, independent fire departments in this county, I want to make sure everybody discuss this before one day a petition shows up and I start getting phone calls saying, what have you done, when I will not have done anything because I won't even have known about it. Now, that is, whether you're for or against it, it deserves a good discussion. Thank you for coming.
Your Honor, Commissioners, I'm Denny Engels, President of the Indian Creek Volunteer Fire Department Board. I'm a Regents Professor Emeritus, University of North Texas, and a retired United States Army Colonel. And I've got with me 3 people from the department. We anticipated just 2 of us coming. And I'll let Barbara Fox introduce herself, and then we have also Bob Hughes, who is on our Emergency Services District Committee, and Brian Buchanan, who is Assistant Chief of our department.
I'm Barbara Fox, and we had retired, my husband and I retired to Lake Kyle about 5 years ago. He serves on the POA board. I'm entering my 2nd year on the fire department board, and we have put a lot of thought and research into the ESD and the pros and cons of it. So,
Okay, and we submitted some Q&A for your, just to let you know, and we did find out we did not need permission to seek a petition, but we did want to make you aware that we were going to launch a petition drive to get the necessary paperwork. And we're here today if you want to ask us any questions about what we know about Emergency Services District. We'd be happy to respond to that. At the time we present our petition, we would go into a good deal of detail about Indian Creek Volunteer Fire Department and our needs. The most fundamental needs we have in our particular case are personnel. We have 19 really qualified people, 4 of whom make 80% of the calls and consequently are at risk of burnout. We've had a substantial attrition rate. We've lost 13 people in the last 3 years, gained 6. And we also have a demographic with a high number of elderly people who really would not qualify as volunteers. So that's the personnel side. On the resource side, the finance side, we simply cannot afford going forward the sorts of vehicles and other equipment and the facilities and the facility upgrades that we will be needing. So those are the key factors in our desire to go forward. And we're all here. If you have any questions with regard to the Q&A we gave you or anything else about Emergency Services District, there's a goodly amount of experience on our board and with our chief and our committee.
So what timeline, kind of walk us through the timeline of what y'all foresee going forward, if you would?
Our hope would be to have a special election in May of 2021, and that would give us time. We would look to present the petition sometime in late August or early September, and then we would hold town hall meetings and go through the necessary publicity in local media. As we would follow everything required by law, and we do have a local attorney who does a great deal of work for us pro bono, and she will be assisting us along the way.
Have you had an opportunity to do any budget estimates on the proposed district?
Yes, sir, we have.
What kind of money are we talking about in tax rate increase?
Well, it varies. We're allowed to request up to 10 cents per $100, and that would generate about $670,000 a year. So that's the ballpark figure we're using. We don't have the definitive number yet. We're waiting for the appraiser's office to tell us, given the boundary definition, what would be something closer, but that's an approximation.
Any idea what the annual budget is right now?
Right now, we basically, our former treasurer is right here. She can tell you. The difference is we're starting to anticipate as we start looking forward. We started in 2012 with nothing. No building, no vehicles, we makeshift vehicles, a whole lot of sweat by locals. And so we're now getting to the point where we can start anticipating budget needs. And Barbara can tell you about that.
Yeah, last year we had expenses of around $130,000. That does not include what we have set off as our deficit fund with land, refurbishing the building, or building a new building on new land. Our engines are about to go out. We need a $600,000 engine. We just purchased a $50,000 rescue vehicle. We will replace this next year another $50,000 vehicle. We need a new brush truck, which is around $125,000 to $200,000. So to be able to continue the quality of care that the people expect, we need new assets. And so a lot of that money would go towards asset replacement.
Do you anticipate the full 10 cents on the 100?
That is what we would ask for. From when I read Chapter 775, the law, and it's encouraged when I've done calls to a lot of different ESDs in the area, and they say ask for the 10 cents in your election, and then whoever y'all appoint as your 5 commissioners for the ESD, they have the option of decreasing that according to their needs. If we only ask for 5 cents and we get in there and find out we need more, you have to have another election to get up to the 10 cents. So if we ask for the top, then the commissioners can always decrease.
I mean, at the full 10 cents, $100,000 home's going to cost a person $100 additional in their taxes every year.
Yeah.
So, and of course, that's going to be on the Cooke County tax statement. It's going to appear that we've increased taxes. So,
Do these things follow on the same 2.5% cap?
I don't know. Honestly, don't know the answer to that. Because I think they excluded
The new
some of-
law.
Yeah, I think he's referring to SB 2, which was passed last session. There was some exclusion of some special districts, and I don't know if ESD, since we didn't have one, I didn't spend the time to look into
Remember
it.
what was- if that was
Whether
in there or
they're
not.
subject to the same 2.5%. So what that means is that you can't increase a rate, 2.5, essentially a rate, 2.5% above what was the year before. I would think the exception would be the election the first year would allow that. But I guess my question and it's been a while since I've read through the statute in its entirety, but Commissioners Court appoints the first, assuming the election passes and assuming we appoint the first group of commissioners or board members or whatever you want to call them. But then I think going forward, are they elected or are they?
They're appointed,
Okay.
always appointed by the Commissioners Court.
They're appointed by the Commissioners Court every how many years?
2 years.
Two- every 2 years.
Yeah.
After that first initial, you get on a rotating basis.
Yeah, there's a rotation.
And as far as the tax, we can never go above that 10 cents.
I understand. What I was talking about, like, normally it used to be in Texas, we could go up 8%, 8.25% without having to have a rollback election.
Right.
They've lowered that to 2.5%, which isn't a whole lot.
I see.
So essentially what he's saying is, let's say you have a tax rate of 5%. Well, the next year you can only increase that by 2.5. You can't, or 2.5% of that.
You're
So
talking
that
about
would be
5 cents. You said
That would be,
percent.
5 cents.
5 cents.
So that would be 2.5% of 5 cents, not up to 7.5, but we'd be talking a small amount that I'm not doing the
Gotcha.
math right here in front of everybody. But
I
it would
don't
be
know.
a small number and not you couldn't go up to 7 cents or 8 cents or 9
That's
cents.
what we're talking about, but I don't know if they excluded.
I don't know if they applied to ESDs or
Out
not.
of that or not. We'll have to find that out.
And it's premature, obviously, but when we've been operating on $130,000 a year and we want to bump it to $670,000 a year, and, I mean, everybody has needs. My question will, because I live in that district, do we anticipate we're going to go off and get flush on money every year and improve it? You know, we're going to buy something new every year. Going to be hard to justify, I would think, but we just need to communicate to the public openly that, hey, once we create this ESD, their taxes can go up $100 a year in a $100,000 home. And that's going to be a significant increase for a lot of folks, especially your fixed income folks. So, and then what happens with mutual aid? How are we going to work that?
There is still the mutual aid.
And, well, will you need to be compensated by that? Things like, will the county continue to donate the, what is it, 11,500? You know, that's just some,
So if
that's
we
some
become an
questions I would
ESD, would we
anticipate if I
still
were
be-
you guys.
Those are conversations we, you know.
That's all the things we're going to have to figure out.
Right.
Part of the equation gets into, Barbara didn't mention building an additional facility, for example, where you're pushing $1 million for anything suitable, and also paid personnel. And right now, we're just overtaxing the
Our
key
volunteers.
responders so badly that they're definitely at risk of burnout. So
That's
those
been-
factors get into the big dollars.
The main goal that's been expressed to me with their contact with me is the wish to go to a combination department, have some paid people along with the volunteers.
And then you build in incentives for the volunteers. Right now, it's totally volunteer, no one gets a cent. And we just have to be prudent about not overtaxing these people so badly, the workers, that they can't function.
But you want your election for ESD to pass.
Yes.
You know, and you don't want people out campaigning against it because it's going to be a tax increase and stuff of that nature. I mean,
One point I didn't mention, my own insurance went down about $450 on our home when we went to ISO level 4. So that's been a big bonus from this really young volunteer fire department, and maintaining that is very vital. So it's likely that almost one person who lives outside Kiowa but within the district told me she saved over $300 on her home insurance with an 8B ISO rating.
Yeah.
obviously, they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
You know, and I think everybody appreciates them. And we've heard conversations for years about ESDs, but it is another political subdivision. It is another tax, and depending on the board as to how aggressive they want to be in their spending, you know, I don't know of too many people that would sign up for 10 cents on 100 tax increase today, but maybe I'm naive.
Did we determine, did I miss this, what does a penny generate for this thing? They're not,
I think total, they said 10 cents generates 670.
they've got the boundaries defined enough that they know.
Well, that's a good ballpark. The first time we defined the boundaries, we had subtle differentiations now, so we're at the appraiser's office with the legal definition, and the figure will get finer than the 670. We don't know. In all likelihood, it'll be very close to that.
And the county will be in charge of that election?
We would run that election in November, or not November, May.
So you'd have to figure out who all the, we would have to figure out who all the voters are in this area, in
that district.
In that
district.
Well, that majority will be heavy Lake Iowa.
Yeah,
That's a
well, I know, but that's just one of the machinations. we
Yeah,
have to
which
go
is
through.
better to be on, that's why this conversation needs to be happening now and not in January or February of next year, when then you got to figure out who lives in that district too.
Any other questions?
Other questions? Well, we appreciate y'all coming in, and we'll continue that conversation going forward with you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Item number 11 is deliberation, consider possible action regarding annex remodel. Komatsu did come and walk the building Wednesday or Thursday of last week. They were just trying to get a better feel for it. They brought an engineering team up to, or an architect team up to look at it and kind of refamiliarize themselves with it. I think what would be best is we set up a workshop sometime in July and walk through that in sufficient detail on kind of what we're still thinking or not thinking about using that upstairs for. So I will, unless anybody objects, I'll have Kathy start contacting and scheduling that for some time in July.
Preferably on a Monday.
Preferably, well, we could probably set it up maybe on the afternoon after a court or something like that might be the easiest way to go on that.
John, you said preferably on Monday?
Yes.
The afternoon after a court would probably be the easiest way. Unless anybody, any other on the remodel. If not, item 12 is deliberate and consider possible action regarding DPS remodel. I believe this project is done. I don't know where Ricky, where you're sitting right there. Anything new on that? I think we're, okay. I'll pull it, yeah. I'll pull it off, but I know last time there was just a little bit of button up still left, so I left it on one more court. Okay. I'll remove that from.
You hope.
We hope, yeah. Item 13 is deliberation regarding status and future needs of new CPS court and consider possible action regarding the same. Where are we at on carpet, I guess?
Tell us the story about the carpet. Oh, come on, get up.
Yeah, come on.
So we did place the order for the carpet, and I got an invoice from them, and Shelley pointed out that they did put tax on the invoice. So they said that when they got payment, they would ship the carpet. So that was just this morning. So my direction is to get back with them, get them to take the tax off, and then I think Shelley's office will take care of paying for it with a credit card or something, however they handle that.
How are we going to solve that one, Shelley?
We've already sent them a tax exempt form and asked them to send us a new invoice.
A new invoice? All right. That shouldn't take long. What about once they are satisfied monetarily, when do you think we'll get our carpet?
They say they have it in stock, so it shouldn't be long. I mean, within a week or whatever.
Pin them down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anything else regarding the addition of the 2 rooms? Everything good on that? We're still door handle or locks, is that?
The locksmith says that he cannot get the best brand of lock. So I said, can you get something that's compatible with that? And he says he can, and his wife's been in the hospital, a little bit of blah, blah, blah in there, but he's working on it.
Will that be ready to go before early voting here in a couple of weeks? In a week?
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, you need to lock it.
We need to,
open.
well, we'll still be able to lock the other door.
Yeah, the
Okay.
original door
So
in
you
the
can still
hallway.
secure the room every day.
Oh,
That's
yes,
the key.
yes. Yeah, the only thing we're talking about is the new doors.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Because early voting starts Monday, next Monday.
Monday already.
The carpet project will have to wait until after early voting, so I don't want to.
Probably not a problem.
Anything else on item 13? If not, 13 would be no action. Thanks, Rick. Item 14 is deliberate and consider possible action regarding placement of infusion pumps due to recall. Kevin, you want to give us an update on where we're at on this? There's handouts.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So as you know, we received a FDA recall on the infusion pumps that we utilize. We had to pull them out of service immediately because they were off on their potential medication they were giving the patients. So we've looked at multiple infusion pumps. The only one that is certified for ground transport is a Sapphire. Come to find out, CME, that was the one that had the recall, said that we could get Sapphires, which is the one we're looking at purchasing anyways, through returning the infusion pumps we have and so forth. Well, the caveat to that is that they increased the list price to $350 more than if we buy them outright. So to me, it didn't make any sense that they're kind of doing a bait and switch, in my opinion, is that they're increasing the cost, and then we're going to pay, because of the age of our pumps, we're going to pay $900 a piece for these pumps. Well, why wouldn't we just take the cash and then purchase the pumps outright? And that's what I'm recommending. So, and the packet you have is just a worksheet in front. And I apologize for the way these printed out. I did ask the sales rep to redo this because he sent it in PDF to get it on one page, and it did not get to me. But a normal list price for a infusion pump is $19.95 plus the other items there. And so we figured we needed 12 of them. The current pumps we have are dual channel. If we have 11 pumps. If we did dual, that'd be 22. There's no reason we need 22 pumps. The main thing we need is one on each ambulance. We need a backup, and we need one at Station 4 and one at Station 5. They're the ones who do the transfers. That'd be the only time we use the dual channel. In the emergency situations, we never use the dual channel. It's always one channel that we utilize. So we don't feel we need 22 of them. So we believe that if we did 12 Sapphires, we're going to be able to function in the system, have a backup, be able to send them in for service, and be able to get additional cash back from CME on the additional pumps. The second set of papers I gave you, they're asking list price if we decide to utilize through CME is $23.50. Again, an increase of $355, which didn't make any sense. So, and I did specifically ask about that, and he just said, well, that's the deal they made with CME. So I've also attached special terms and conditions that I received from Sapphire, and basically it showed, our pumps are 7 years older, and it'd be $900 for us to purchase them, which, again, that's the additional, with the additional $355. We're estimating we're going to get about 20 cents on the dollar on the CME pumps that we have. So on the front page, it's based on 12 pumps. It would be $24,530 for the pumps. Infusion sets, that's the cabling we use to put the medication through, is $1,140. Extended service agreement, and we have it on all our medical equipment because we have to have them certified every year, is $4,320, approximately $50 shipping, which is a total of $30,040. We anticipate a refund to be somewhere around $16,500 for the equipment. They're going to give us fair market cost for the infusion sets we have. I don't know what that cost is right now. What they consider fair market is different than what we purchase at retail. So I don't have those numbers, so the $16,500 may be more, and it may be a little less. Those are estimates. So in general, our total investment of the county is going to be $13,540. So what I'm recommending is that we purchase the Sapphires outright from the Eden Group, and then we should have our RMA number now this week or next week to be able to send the pumps back. They'll evaluate them. They'll give us a final number, and then that would go, I presume, just go back in general fund once we got those funds back. So what I need today would be somehow to fund the $30,040 to be able to purchase the pumps, and then at some point we're going to get some type of refund. And I know this is a very unusual circumstance because typically we do a trade-in. We're not doing trade-ins. We're sending them back. We had this discussion last time I was in court, but it is a piece of equipment we need. We need to be able to utilize them for the different drips that we utilize for our patient care. So again, this is the best thing that we came up with. And then lastly, as I said, Sapphire is the only one that's certified in ground transport. We looked at multiple pumps, and none of them are certified for ground transport. They're only certified for hospital or home use, so.
How long is the extended service agreement?
Be 5 years.
For the one time, 4,300.
Yes, sir.
That seems like a bargain.
It really is. They give a 2-year warranty on it, so technically we're paying a 3-year warranty, but total is 5 years.
Isn't this a little less than we anticipated a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
This is a lot less than what we anticipated. I mean, probably half of what we anticipated, because we have about $75,000 invested now, so.
So where do we get the money? Need a budget amendment?
Yeah, we'd have to do a budget amendment on it, and that's not on court for today. But I wanted to put it in front of everybody. I mean, we can't take action on it, but the budget amendment would
Okay.
be next court. But at least it's kind of been a moving target, so I wanted to get it on court, and this was a little already.
Well, in talking to purchasing professionals, my concern was we were selling county assets, but they said that they would consider it a return of a defective
Since it's a
item.
recall.
And so returning them and getting a refund is okay.
Any questions that I could answer to,
Need a
gentlemen?
motion?
Need a motion? So moved. We have a motion by Commissioner Leon Clement. Second. Seconded by Commissioner John Clement. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day.
5-0.
What are you doing for, if you don't have any pumps, I'm sorry. So what are you doing for a pump? I'm just curious.
We have redone our protocols to where we can't utilize certain medications that we have right now. Our medical director, Dr. Lewis, is here, but with his working, we actually had to change our protocols on certain things significantly because there are certain medications you cannot give without a pump. So
What's the turnaround, estimated turnaround of this?
once approved, once we get the PO, they said anywhere between 4 and 8 weeks.
That's a lot better than we expected too.
That is, we figured 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. We were thinking in the fall.
We thought it was going to be a lot longer, but that still is long. Okay.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you. Item 15 is deliberate and consider possible action regarding various grant funds. Anything new on the 2015 FEMA grant?
It was followed by this weekend by the mini 2020 flood.
Did it ever quit flooding since then?
You know,
Quarterly reports are due, so I need to get a report from Amber.
okay.
Speaking of flooding, I emptied 7 inches.
How much?
7. So we could have some localized flooding.
Yeah, you could have, some areas.
Ditches are going to be washed out, going to be some more hazards out there, but
We have trees down.
That tree's down.
I don't know what you guys got, but I emptied 7 inches
Places,
this morning.
places
as of
had
this
4,
morning.
5, 6, 6.5. Personally, I didn't have but about 3 1/4, but it blew trees down and, you know, all that sort of thing. But I know areas that had 6 or better, so.
Item B is 2020 COVID FEMA. Don't have anything on that.
Is that the CFR, what they're?
That's the next one,
Okay.
which is the CARES Act funding grant. Do you have something new on that? Corona Relief Fund is the, yeah.
We applied for that Office of the Governor grant for the inmate state ready.
That's-
This morning on my listserv, the question was, part of the calculation of the tax rate was to include the state-ready inmates. One of the auditors said that we can pay for state-ready inmates with the CFR money.
Yeah, which would be the CARES Act funding money.
So I didn't know if maybe we need to think about withdrawing from the Office of the Governor grant.
And just because we've got 1.1 million or something out of the CARES Act funding.
Yeah.
And state-ready inmates are the ones that are supposed to be going to a state jail, but they won't allow them to come, and we're having to house them here.
Right.
Right.
So you can claim their medical care, you know.
Personnel cost, all, basically whatever it
Just
costs.
saying that
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
the press to know what we're
Right.
talking about.
So, I mean, it's just, it just came over this morning, so it's just something to think about. Because it hasn't been approved yet.
Yeah, we're still waiting on approval on that.
Yeah, we're still waiting on approval. So just something to think about.
Then would we just basically withdraw from that public safety grant for the governor's office because
Because that's the only thing
that was
on.
the only thing on there because a lot of the
Because
healthcare costs
the
were
EMS
covered.
was on the FEMA Go grant.
Yeah.
You sure they won't disqualify it 6 months from now and say you should have used the governor's grant?
Well, in
You know how
theory,
we've been with these.
in theory, the the CARES Act, more guidance is put down from the Department of Treasury than is put down from the governor's office. But in reality, what happens is the Department of Treasury puts out guidance, and then the governor puts out their own guidance, and it's like follow both. Well, if they contradict each other, how do you follow?
I don't know.
Welcome to bureaucracy.
It's just something to think about.
Yeah, yeah.
When is that a decision that has to be made, or can you?
CARES Act funding
At any time.
goes through the end of the year, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not an imminent,
And the governor's grant's a year, so
Yeah.
it's through next March.
yeah. And then, so we addressed the public safety COVID grant, and then CTIF road grant, we hadn't heard anything new on that that's been turned in?
It is supposed to, they're supposed to award it on June 25th.
Okay, so we should know something this month,
That's according to the webinar.
which would be later, so we should know something soon. And then the HAVA elections grants, there was originally 3 of these. One of these was COVID-related. Now there's 2 because they've combined the 2 HAVA grants. That application is in the packet, and we need to approve that today for the second, which will be a $120,000 grant. And then we need to discuss what we're spending the COVID elections funds on. Pam, you want to talk about that just a little bit?
Looked at, said we could buy laptops, so we were looking at buying 10 new Express Vote tablets with the printers, which is $20,740. And then I've spent about $12,000, a little over $12,000 on just COVID related. So I don't know if we want to use that money on this or use the COVID money.
Well, how much CARES COVID election money do we have? What was that again? 4?
Well, the CARES is.
CARES COVID.
$39,874.83, and we have to match that $7,974.97.
Of course, you're going to anticipate or may have already spent money on PPE and cleaning supplies.
That's a
and
lot
all
of that 12,000 I think she's already spent.
I'll spend a little more for November when we find some more sanitizing stuff. Find a lot of it, so.
So between the poll books and printers, so that's 21,000, then you got 12,000. So, I mean, you're a good ways to the 39, but you're still not under it, or over it. And then we've got to spend almost 8,000 of our own.
Well, the total is $47,849.80. So whatever we spend, it has to be a 20% match.
Yeah, it's got to break down like that.
Can we purchase machines with that money?
No,
You can only purchase these poll books.
the poll books.
Now, the grant in here today, yes, the 120 that you're looking at right here on the screen, that you can.
But we can pay for,
And it's retro to a certain extent.
can we pay for the part-time cleaning of the facilities? out of this
Yes, I believe we can. If we want to assign, of course, some of the part-times to clean or however we want to do that. You're talking about holding over your election workers or bringing them in early, and, I mean, you can pay for those hours, I'm assuming, from this. So that'll be some, but it's not substantial.
But we could justify additional machines to ensure social distancing, is that correct?
Well, we can under the HAVA grant that's for consideration today, but not the COVID grant. The COVID's a little different. There's a list, and I don't have the list in front of me of things that can be spent.
I have it.
Shelley has the list.
Shelley has the
Surprise,
list.
surprise,
Put
Shelley
up
has
more
the list.
machines, Gary, you're gonna crowd them together.
You need a bigger spot to put more.
You're gonna need a bigger spot to put more
So,
machines.
yeah, there. That's all the additional voting process, which would be where the poll books come in. We talked about whether to have a cleaning service come in and clean the election locations prior to, but that's been difficult to find a local cleaning service with that manpower at that specific day at that specific time to come in and do that.
Is the counter IT equipment?
I don't know.
For the HAVA grant, we got 40,000, which is not we don't have to match that. And we got 80,000, which we have to match that. And I believe the match is $12,000.
She was working on the list we can spend it on. So.
Yes, that money we can buy voting equipment. So what they call the big trash cans and the voting equipment and the voter registration system, which I thought what the tax office got, but what they bought was just a scanning system. So I don't know if that would fit or not.
We use Chapter 19 funds as our match.
Yeah, I think that was for the CARES.
That's what I'm saying, on the CARES, the 7,900, can we use, maybe not?
You might have a tax assessor
That's true. We hadn't.
disagreement on your hands.
We'll have to consult Brandy on that.
You can use it for cybersecurity. I know Pam had an assessment. I don't know what the results of this assessment was. If there was some deficiencies in
And we need to.
security,
Yeah.
cybersecurity, we can
We can.
buy things to.
We can do a deep dive in that, maybe, I don't have it in front of me.
I don't know what.
But in a executive session, because that gets into security-related issues.
Well, I'm just reading what their
Yeah.
webinar said. And then communications, and I don't know if that was print ads to get out and vote, or if that was,
Social distancing stuff or whatever.
and more of that stuff.
Yeah.
PPE and things like that also, yeah.
Put a value on any of that security stuff?
Now, on the HAVA money, we can use contract elections money to match, which we have about $5,000 in that. And that comes from the 10% admin fee that is assessed for renting out election equipment or conducting elections for other entities.
Yeah,
and things
yeah,
like that.
yeah, I'm with you. So in essentially, we still hadn't exhausted all the COVID election CARES money. We've got the 120,000 for approval that we need to approve the application today.
Right.
We're still trying to figure out what all it can and can't be spent on.
And that money is good, the HAVA money is good until 12/31 of 2021. But the CARES money is good till the end of the year.
And you'll still have some HAVA elections money that we can spend for the November election, Pam, so we'll still have that 12,000, I'm assuming is not I mean, that's mainly the election next week.
Right.
And then you may have another substantial chunk. So you'll probably spend that up, or close to it, just on that. Do we need to approve your poll books and printers today, Pam, or are you?
I mean, if I can go ahead and get them ordered if we get it approved today.
Well, they wouldn't be in for this election anyway.
I don't need them for this election.
Okay, well, let's put it on there separately, because I don't think everybody's seen the quote.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll work.
So we'll just put it on next court, and so everybody.
haven't seen it.
No, I just saw it this morning. So we'll put that on for next court. But we do need approval today of the application for the 120,000 HAVA.
So move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Leon Clement.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Snuggs. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes 5-0. And that's it for elections or grants. Item 16 is executive session in compliance with Open Meetings Act 551 of the Government Code. We have personnel, consult with attorney, real property, and security devices, and it is 10:06. And we will recess into executive as soon as everybody leaves. Live on the air. It is 12:18. We are back in regular session. Item number 17 is deliberate and consider possible action regarding public health emergency declaration for COVID-19. We don't have any updates. We continue to have some active cases. We continue to monitor the situation periodically or constantly, actually. I know the state of Texas is seeing an increase in total cases and hospitalizations, so we'll continue to monitor that, but all decisions are being made by the governor's office at this time anyway. So I don't have anything new on 17. Item 18 is deliberation consider any possible action on personnel matters. I don't believe we had any. Item number 19 is future agenda items. We do have a budget workshop starting after lunch. Unless anybody else has got anything else. If not, item 20 is to adjourn.
To make the motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner John Clement, seconded by somebody over here. Commissioner Hollowell. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion passes 5-0. This afternoon's budget workshop is a completely new agenda, and what do you guys think? It's 12:20 now, supposed to be in at 1. What do you, 1:15 enough?
Make it 1:30.
1:30?
Who's our first person? And who's gonna-
EMS and
gonna
sheriff.
Communicate that to them.
I can let Kevin know 1:30.
I'd say 1:30,
1:30 is, okay.
please.